Venezuela has denounced the strengthening of the US economic blockade and sanctions. Guyana's Supreme Court has prevented the Elections Commission from declaring a winner of the general elections. Sudan's Prime Minister survived an attack on his motorcade in the capital of Khartoum. From the headquarters of Telesur English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South, I'm Katrina Goss. Venezuelan Foreign Minister Jorge Arriaza denounced on Monday the latest threats launched against the country by the United States, Brazil and Colombia as part of a coordinated strategy that foresees the strengthening of the economic blockade and sanctions. Arriaza highlighted that the latest escalation in the attacks on Venezuela was coordinated during the recent visits by the Brazilian and Colombian presidents to the United States. In a meeting with the diplomatic corps accredited in Venezuela, the foreign minister stressed that the US is planning to crush the Bolivarian government in a flagrant violation of international law. Arriaza also explained how the sanctions imposed against Venezuela in 2014 have been considerably strengthened in the last 3 years. He also recalled that Venezuela acts in accordance with international law to ensure peace.
We're acting in compliance with international law. We're acting with our armed forces, with our intelligence agencies to thwart any further attacks, any false flag operations, any false positive, to preserve Venezuela's peace, to ensure that elections are held as provided in the Constitution.
On Monday, President of Venezuela Nicolas Maduro ordered the second phase of the 2020 Bolivarian Shield military exercises. The president stressed that these military exercises seek to consolidate the defense and peace of Venezuela. Minister of Defense Vladimir Padrino Lopez and the commandant of the Strategic Operational Command, Remigio Ceballos, were present at the inauguration ceremony. Padrino recalled that this military drill is to guarantee the sovereignty of Venezuela's territory. According to military authorities, the second phase of the exercise will increase operational efficiency, as well as testing all military defense strategies devised by the Strategic Operational Command of the National Bolivarian Armed Forces.
Well, the exercises continue under a different modality, and we are conducting them with just a few hours of preparation to measure the response capacity of the operational units of the armed forces, to measure the response capacity of the Popular Integrated Defense Units, the Popular Integrated Defense Groups, the militia, and also to measure the response elements of all who contribute to the comprehensive defense of the nation. In addition, the working class is incorporated with great strength there in the Bolivarian militia. The workers of the basic companies, we are also seeking integration.
On March 16th, Brazilian deputies will call for the impeachment of far-right President Jair Bolsonaro due to his attempts to provoke an institutional crisis and incite his supporters to close down Congress. Congressman Alexandre Frota explained that the complaint will be presented this March 16th and stressed that the group of deputies will prepare for an impeachment trial against Bolsonaro. The request will be based on Article 85 of the Federal Constitution that establishes the liability of the President of the Republic when his acts violate the free exercise of all constitutional powers. The move comes as opposition is mounting against the attempts of the Bolsonaro administration to destabilize Brazil's constitutional order. And coming up after this break, we have more details on the latest events following the general elections in Guyana. Don't go away. Welcome back. While the two main political parties in Guyana continue to claim victory following the March 2nd general elections, voting results were again postponed indefinitely on Sunday following a Supreme Court ruling. Guyana's Chief Justice, Roxanne George, upheld an injunction preventing the country's Elections Commission from declaring a winner and said that she would begin hearing the case on Tuesday to determine whether election officials should resume verification of votes in an area known as Region 4. The decision further postpones the official announcement of the results in an election process that has been marred from the beginning by accusations of fraud.
Once the court has jurisdiction, to determine the issue that we have raised, which is a narrow issue, whether or not Mingo should have complied with Section 84. Does the court have jurisdiction to determine that issue? The court said yes. And the Chief Justice said that the order will remain in place. The injunctions are going to remain in place. So obviously, whatever is beyond the jurisdiction of the court will not hear it. But the court has pronounced that it has the jurisdiction to hear and determine the relevant issues. And that is whether or not Section 84 should be complied with, whether the verification exercise should be done. That's important.
Marchers in Santiago de Chile flooded the streets on Sunday to mark International Women's Day. Despite the risks of repression, women mobilized to demand that their voices be heard. Our correspondent in Chile, Paola Dragnik, brings us the details.
A feminist Super Monday, a women's demonstration, has taken the downtown Chilean capital by storm. We are a few meters away from Palacio de la Moneda, the presidential palace, where members of various organizations, public companies and workers continue to arrive. Next to me is Magali Avila. She is the coordinator of AM. Based on yesterday's rally estimates, authorities say there were only about 150,000 demonstrators on the street. How do you reconcile these statements by police and the footage clearly showing 2 million people?
Sí, bueno, incluso hasta 3 millones nos han manifestado algunos estudios. Para nosotras es que nos invisibilizan como mujeres.
Some reports even put the number of protesters as 3 million. The police perhaps only count the men because this was clearly a massive demonstration. The protests streamed from the Poniente, from the north, from the south, converged at Alameda. That is why we said it was a moving rally, with protesters perhaps exceeding 2 million.
Desde el Poniente, desde el norte, desde el sur, y que se juntaron en la Alameda. Entonces, por eso decimos que es una marcha en movimiento y que probablemente los 2 millones igual se queden cortos.
Magali, en materia de género, a full-fledged social explosion took place this 8th March. Which are the main debts this Chilean government owes to women?
El gobierno de Chile con las mujeres chilenas. Bueno, a diferencia de otros años, digamos, que eran demandas propiamente feministas, ahora nos encontramos en un contexto de una revuelta social, una revuelta que también es nuestra y que queremos y exigimos la salida de Piñera. Esto no va a parar mientras Piñera siga gobernando.
We are in a context where we also feel part of the social unrest. We demand Piñera's departure. We will not stop as long as Piñera continues to govern. We demand an end to the impunity regarding human rights violations. We demand an investigation into the violations that have been verified by several international organizations. The police behavior is evident. They use all kinds of weapons against peaceful protesters who have done nothing wrong. However, the other day we saw a group of fascist Pinochet followers marching armed, treating and insulting people, and the police didn't do anything. In fact, the police even waved at them. Then they treat the people, the majority, very differently. It's just poor repression.
Entonces el tratamiento a unos es muy diferente al pueblo, que es mayoritario, que ayer lo hemos visto y hoy lo hemos visto, que la mayoría pide la salida de Piñera, renuncia a Piñera y obviamente todo su gabinete.
Muchas gracias, Magali. Vamos a dejar a Magali para que pueda continuar monitoreando cómo va esta manifestación, que la verdad se ha dispersado por todo Santiago. Podemos ver al final de la avenida Alameda. Thank you, Magali. We're going to leave you so you can continue with the demonstration that has already spread around Santiago towards the end of Alameda Avenue and Plaza Dignidad, where the women's march started. The police have started with their repression. We're moving away to monitor the violence they will unleash once again against women.
a reprimir, así es que nos vamos a mover hasta ese lugar para monitorear de cerca cómo va a ser la represión que Carabineros va a ejercer una vez más contra, esta vez, las mujeres chilenas.
And we turn to Mexico now, where thousands of women plan to stay home from work or school on Monday for a day without women. Following on from International Women's Day this Sunday, when unprecedented crowds filled the streets of Mexico to protest against rampant gender violence, millions of women will stay home. The back-to-back protests mark an escalation of the struggle against gender violence and impunity in one of the most dangerous countries in the world for women. The idea is to become invisible for a day so that co-workers, bosses, boyfriends, husbands, and in some cases children reflect on the absence of each participating woman. Italy ordered a virtual lockdown across its northern region in a drastic attempt to contain the coronavirus outbreak after the number of deaths again leapt sharply on Sunday. The unprecedented restrictions, which aim to limit social gatherings and curb movement, will impact some 16 million people and remain in force until April 3rd. They were signed into law on Sunday night by Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte. The new measures mean people should not enter or leave Lombardy, as well as 14 provinces in 4 other regions, including the cities of Milan, Venice, Modena and Parma, among others. Italy has seen the largest number of coronavirus infections in Europe. Its death toll has risen to 463, while the total number of confirmed cases rose to 9,172. The total number of countries and regions affected by the coronavirus outside China has reached 101, according to the Daily Situation Report on COVID-19 released by the World Health Organization. Bulgaria, the Faroe Islands, French Guyana, the Maldives, Malta, Martinique and the Republic of Moldova have all reported their first cases in the past 24 hours. Meanwhile, South Korea reported 248 new cases, bringing the total to over 7,000 cases there. Meanwhile, mainland China reported no new locally transmitted coronavirus cases outside the epicenter of Hubei province for the second day running on Monday. There are now over 105,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19 worldwide. And Ecuador announced its 15th case of COVID-19 on Sunday. Health authorities confirmed that the latest case was a patient reporting mild symptoms. Meanwhile, Costa Rica issued a yellow alert as it confirmed its 9th coronavirus case, including 3 US citizens. The move allows the Costa Rican government to mobilize additional resources to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Likewise, concern is growing in the region as Argentina reported its first death due to the novel coronavirus on Saturday. So far, the virus has reached 10 countries of Latin America. And stock markets in Europe and the US are braced for their biggest fall since the 2008 financial crisis, after the trading week began with panic selling amid the double threat of a coronavirus-driven global recession and an oil price war. Oil prices plunged by about 30% during early trading on Sunday evening after Saudi Arabia slashed its prices and pledged to unleash stored supply onto the market. Many experts believe that the decision will start an all-out price war, having already caused the biggest percentage drop since 1991 at the start of the First Gulf War. The move comes after the 2 biggest oil producers in the world, Saudi Arabia and Russia, failed to reach a deal regarding production cuts during the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries meeting on Friday. As the demand slump continues due to the spread of the coronavirus to other major economies, such as Italy, South Korea and the United States, traders fear that this is just a first move of many to come. And we're taking one last break now, but stay with us for more. Welcome back. The families of the passengers killed when a missile shot down Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 over eastern Ukraine in 2014 placed 298 white chairs outside the Russian embassy in the Netherlands on Sunday in a silent protest to demand Moscow's cooperation in the investigation into the downing of the passenger jet. The chairs were laid out in rows like seats in an airplane to represent the victims. Families stood in silence for 2 minutes, holding signs including one that read, "Impunity is unacceptable." The protest came on the eve of a Dutch trial against 3 Russians and a Ukrainian charged with murder for their alleged roles in the missile strike. Russia denies involvement and has dismissed the international investigation that led to the 4 suspects being charged, saying it's prejudiced against Moscow. The missile was launched by separatist forces. The European Union has agreed to rehouse up to 1,500 child refugees as conditions in Greek migrant camps deteriorate. EU leaders in Brussels held frank talks with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan on Monday after his decision to open Turkey's borders to migrants travelling to Europe. With the conditions at border crossings and in Greek migrant camps deteriorating by the day, the EU said it would take in between 1,000 and 1,500 unaccompanied children currently living in dire conditions. In the last week, about 35,000 migrants have massed at Turkey's borders with the EU. In Syria, US forces and their allies surrounded the town of al-Bashira in northern Deir ez-Zor, preventing residents from entering or leaving the area. US troops and members of the so-called Syrian Democratic Forces locked down the city after residents demonstrated against their presence. Local media reported that militias opened fire on protesters in an attempt to disperse them, causing the death of 1 civilian while 2 others were injured. Afghan President Ashraf Ghani and Prime Minister Abdullah held simultaneous inauguration ceremonies on Monday as they continued to dispute the election results. Afghanistan was set for 2 presidential inaugurations on Monday as both President Ghani and his political rival Abdullah claimed victory in the September 28th elections and held parallel events. Ghani was declared the winner by Afghanistan's Independent Election Commission on February 18th, while Abdullah rejected the result and pledged to form his own government, also proclaiming himself winner. Abdullah's camp issued invitations to a parallel swearing-in ceremony on Monday morning at a similar time to Ghani's planned ceremony. Diplomats and experts say a lack of cohesion among Afghan political leaders will make it difficult for the talks with the Taliban, which are due to start on Tuesday. Sudan's Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok survived an attack targeting his motorcade in the capital Khartoum on Monday morning. A senior government official confirmed that explosives hit the Prime Minister's vehicle as he was travelling to his office, but that he escaped unhurt and has been moved to a safe location. Images on state television showed 2 damaged white vehicles parked on the street a few minutes after the attack. No one has claimed responsibility for the attack. Hamdok was appointed Prime Minister last August after months of protests forced the military to remove former President Omar al-Bashir. Thousands of public sector workers in Burkina Faso marched against the government's decision to cut their salaries. Last month, the government announced new tax reforms that will result in salary cuts for all civil servants. The decision is part of President Marc Kaboure's austerity measures. The workers have accused the government of passing the burden of its inefficiency onto workers. They have since threatened to go on a national strike if the decision is not reversed. And we've come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. For Telesur English, I'm Katrina Goss. Thank you for watching.